just that sort of thing?
Not at all.
Christian or...
Well, see, I'm still struggling with understanding what God is, so I'm way back there at the beginning.
Right.
You know, you're much more advanced than I am, so to speak.
Okay, well, I mean, I can understand that, you know.
Yeah.
I think what you're trying to ask us then is, why do we believe in God, or?
No, I'm trying to understand what the efficacy of prayer is. In other words, is it actually working? Is something actually happening? Does it really work, or is nothing happening?
Okay, well, that's where faith comes into play then. You know, the Bible says that faith is the assured expectation of hope.
Here's another word that I don't understand, just like the word God. What is faith?
Faith, well, I could share that with you. That's found at, I believe it's Hebrews. The Bible brings out that faith is the assured expectation of hope. Memorize that one. I'm not really sure what I'm so sure. Share with you. And not a walking Bible. And, you know, at home I'm a Bible student too, trying to find the same answers that you are. I'm not sure where it is, but if I could look it up for you. I do know that if you want to take my word for it or not, I know it says that faith is the assured expectation of hope. When you put faith into something, really then you are trusting that it's going to come true. So that's what faith means.
Okay, so
but
for
faith
example...
is also very hard to come by. You know, it's hard to put your faith in something that you can't see, for example.
Yeah.
Like God. It's very difficult to do that. But building a relationship with God also builds faith. That's where we are today. Hebrews 11:1. Hebrews 11:1. Just so you can see with your own eyes. I'm not making that up.
Okay, so let's say, for example, if I believe in gravity, okay, you know,
gravity.
If I believe in gravity, this is faith?
Having faith in gravity?
Yeah,
well,
is it faith? Like, for example, if I throw a ball in the air and I expect it to land, you know, where I threw it, and, you know, if I expect it to follow a certain path that I can describe mathematically, is this faith, or is that something different from faith?
I guess you could say that's faith. I guess you could say that. You know, not exactly.
See, I don't really have to be...
that's a proven fact, isn't it? I mean, when you see something time and time again, and I guess the same thing, when you put faith in God and time again you see the working out of His will, it's kind of easy to put faith in God.
Well, see, I heard a definition of faith that went something like this. The difference between faith and science is that faith is believing without actually having evidence.
Yeah.
Now, if you are a scientist, for example, that's not believing without evidence, it's believing on the basis of evidence.
Yeah, because gravity is a fact.
Okay, so what's the rationale? Why would a rational human being believe in something without having evidence and not even asking or seeking evidence?
Right. Well, there is evidence. There is evidence that in a creator, in everything that we see in the world. You know, I put my firm. That's where your own personality has to come into play, though. You know, we don't want to take up too much of your time, so we'll let you go. But hopefully you can, you know, maybe you have a Bible, or it doesn't have to be any certain translation, but look into it for yourself. And if you have any questions, maybe we'll run into you again, and you can answer some of those again, you know. But it's been nice talking to you.
Well, you know, I'd like for you to do something also. Take a look at the Grand Canyon, you know, how it has layers of rock there, and consider how those layers of rock actually got there.
Yeah, the Grand Canyon is a perfect reason for me to put my faith and firm belief in God. That is firm evidence of creation. Something like that cannot just show up. At least that is my belief, right, what my belief in. I don't believe that just poof, it was created by two forms, you know, colliding of evolution theory. You know, the Grand Canyon to me is solid evidence of a creator.
Okay, so you don't believe that poof, evolution happened over a period of billions of years, but you do believe poof, it just magically came into being because somebody spoke.
I do, because I believe that God is all powerful.
Okay, well, anyway, have a nice day.
If you look at creation, though, and you look at even just your simple eye or your hand, it speaks to the fact that there's a creator. If things evolve, why did they quit evolving?
They haven't quit evolving. They're still evolving today.
You think humans are still evolving? We'll be something
well, we're
different.
changing. We'll be different, certainly.
But,
you know, you're different from your grandparents.
Evolution has the theory that a living being came from a non-being, and something non-living.
No, that's not evolution at all. Evolution doesn't answer the question of how that first living cell came into being. It just explains what happened ever since then. How the first living cell came into being is another issue. Okay?
Well, even so, from the primate theory, do you believe in that? We evolved from primates?
Not at all. Of course not. That's nonsense. It's like saying that I evolved from my brother.
Oh, okay. Well, just that,
Okay.
from what I learned in
No,
school, that's
primates and humans have a common ancestor. It's like saying you both have the same grandparent as you and your other relatives, but, you know.
Okay. Yeah, that's really hard, but it's been nice talking with you.
Okay, well, nice talking to you too.
Have a good day.
And try reading a science book as well as that one.
Oh, I went to
Okay,
school
see you.
for the last 13 years of my life. I've read plenty of science books. So have a good day.